Hello, welcome to another episode of Positive Black Business Talk with attorney David M. Walker. How you doing, David?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. Feeling good. Got my positivity flowing.
Yes,
Like
always,
it.
always staying hydrated.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like it's been so long since we've been on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the days of summer, right? Everybody's out and about, enjoying their life outside, and especially
Yeah.
as the things start to get less restrictive and
Mm-hmm.
hard to get them on video.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Well, we will. Yeah, we have a great conversation about scaling businesses, and it's almost a part two of what we did before. So,
Okay.
a few guests will join us. So everyone, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, all right. So, David, you've had a lot of good things going on with the Positivity Water brand. You all have signed a lot of athletes under for the was it the NIL, name, image, and likeness position right here. How does that make you feel as a business owner to have so many athletes interested in working with positivity?
Well, it's interesting because I think that a lot of the athletes weren't aware of the value that they could bring because for a long time the universities were basically saying to the athletes, without our brand, you don't have any value, right? Like if you had just been regular Dave Walker, you can't have any value. But Dave Walker that plays for school X, Y, and Z, all of a sudden you have value, but only when you say X, Y, and Z, right? You can't say, your name by itself. So when they lifted that veil up and said, okay, college athletes, go out there and go make money on your name, but don't take X, Y, and Z with you.
Mm,
Right? Dave Walker, you can go make money, but you can't use anything that is us. And good luck with that. So they're not helping them. They have no incentive to help them. So what we found is that everyone comes running to businesses like, hey, let's collab. And they're not used to how to sell themselves individually without the university or
mm,
college behind them. So what we've done is not only taken in those college athletes and provided them with hydration and water, we've actually started the process of helping them transition into being a business owner, figuring out their value, figuring out their brand value, and teaching them that if you're going to offer services to companies, you have to be prepared to tell the companies what you're offering. I asked them all, what service are you providing? They're like, I don't understand what that means. I'm like, well, you're a business owner. And if you're a business owner, you sell a service or product. If I'm a lawyer, I'm selling law services. If I'm a product, I'm in positivity, I'm selling water. So the question is to you college athletes, what are you selling? Because you can't sell your school. And so they're like, oh, well, they realize that they're quickly becoming a marketing and branding company. So all of these athletes are now marketing and branding, but they have to now tell these businesses exactly how they're going to help them. It isn't enough to just to say, well, I ran the fastest time or I'm the biggest jumper. You have to actually explain to the business, this is the value I bring. This is what I can do for your business. And therefore, you should hire me. And they're all just not prepared for that. They're used to just people telling them that they're valuable because they got recruited or whatever. They don't not sure of selling their value to someone else. So it's been a wake up for them, but I think they're prepared for it. I think that they just released a whole bunch of entrepreneurs into society. They're completely unprepared and unqualified, but that's okay. We start off with some basics like what's an LLC, how do you fill out a W-9, what's the reason for a W-9, how do you protect your name, image, and likeness through trademark and other protections like that. So I think they were attracted to our process too. We try to get to know them as a person, ask them what their outrageous goal in life is, ask them what their positive moments in life are, and really just try to connect with them on a human level first and explain to them that, hey, just have some water and enjoy it. And then we'll figure out the rest later. And just taking the pressure off of them. And a lot of them just need a win. They've been told all their life that they're worth something. And they don't really find out until they get to the NFL or until they get to the NBA or go to pros or whatever. Then they have to either be terribly disappointed or, they make it. Well, this way now they're basically saying to everybody, you're a bunch of pros, you all should make it. And so if you lift the curtains up and turn, 1,000, 1,500, or whatever, how many NCAA students there are, cat student athletes, there's a lot. Trust me. But when you turn them up and you tell them, okay, you're all little business owners, go at it, go have it, that you get this enthusiasm, and they're drawn to us because I think we're just keeping it 1,000 real, and we're a black owned company, and we're run like a black owned company with some respect, showing that, hey, we're going to try to help you along your journey, try to teach you some basics of business, and then at the same time try to provide you with some positivity. And it's been resonating. We have a fantastic team. I think a lot of them are not as maybe patient. They all want instant service. So like, you do realize that before July 1st, nobody knew how to do this at all. And
Right.
we are the taking the front of it. We created a great application process for them. We give them agreements that they can take to their schools so they don't lose eligibility. And that's another thing too, is that they're used to everyone taking care of them. And when their eligibility is at stake, that can be very dangerous for them because the businesses don't care. And I try to remind them all over and over again, Zooms, writings, etc. Don't lose your eligibility. Make sure you go to your compliance office, show them what you need. Don't rush into anything that's going to cause you to lose eligibility with your school. And then you have to go from there because the businesses, it's not illegal for me to do business with anybody, right? I can do business who I want. The question is, you as the contractor have to figure out what rules and compliances you have to stay in with to keep your eligibility. It's not really up to us, but we're going to help you try to figure that out by giving you some tools.
Mm. I think it's amazing what you all are doing because, like I say, it's like you've literally taken the athletes from not being able to really do anything with their brands, and now they're like these little mini business owners in college. So I think it's amazing. And we're definitely going to touch more on that on a future conversation. And I think this is a good segue into our topic tonight, which is scaling your business. And also, we're going to talk about how to even keep your mental health in check. Just really like a lot of self-care is as an entrepreneur and scaling and all of that. So we have a few special guests that we're going to add on here. Our first one is Makita Phillips here. And then we have Mr. Ray on the line with us. Let's see. Okay. Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
how are you? Yeah.
I'm amazing.
Yes. All right, so we can go ahead. I'll let you all introduce yourselves. And I know for those of y'all who aren't familiar, David, I guess we didn't give a full introduction. I guess I know you, but I guess if you want to really introduce yourself to everyone else.
Sure. So my name's David Walker. I'm a business attorney here in Atlanta. I help people start their business, buy and sell businesses, raise capital, and generally act as the corporate counsel on all business matters. I'm known as the good news attorney that don't handle any bad news matters like divorce, criminal, DUI, bankruptcy. I don't go to court. I think I've been to court 8 times in 23 years now, so I don't go to court. I don't like the way the parking lot smells. I don't like the bailiffs. I don't like the judges. I don't like anything about the court. So I've been enjoying coming on to Historically Black Sense this summer and talking business and answering questions, providing insight and learning something, quite frankly. And if you've been around long enough, no matter what industry you're in, you always can learn something. So I'm interested in listening today too to what our other speakers have to say and then providing input where I can.
All right, go ahead, Makita.
Well, hi, how y'all doing? It's definitely an honor to share this platform with you guys. Like you said, my name is Makita Phillips. I am a financial life coach, as well as I started my business as a hairstylist. I've been doing hair since I was like 15. Started doing it professionally in 2007. So I've been doing it for some years and years. And I've learned a lot over the years as a entrepreneur and business owner.
All right, Mr. Ray.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ray Cunningham, or you can call me Mr. Ray, whatever you feel like calling me today, or just Ray. graduate of Virginia State University. I'm a television personality and a best-selling author.
Oh,
And
yay.
and I'm looking forward to hearing what all of you guys have to say because I'm in the process of starting some LLCs and some businesses myself and making the Mr. Ray brand bigger for 2022 and beyond. So I'm here to learn some things myself.
Yes, and Ray Cunningham. You know, I'm so used to Mr. Ray Cunningham. All right.
I have a real government last name, Cunningham. Yes.
Right. All right, yeah. So we're definitely gonna get into that. Your new best-selling author. So we're gonna get into the book, and we're just gonna talk all things business today. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I want to actually, you know what? Let's start with what you just said, Ray. You say you're interested in starting some different LLCs and growing your brand. So let's go. Look, I mean, Dave, let's get the conversation going for a new business owner who's looking to start those LLCs. He's a media personality. What are some things that you know, some things that he should know, and other people who are like him, especially television personalities, and protecting their brands and getting those LLCs started?
Yeah, I mean, well, congratulations to
Thank
both
you.
of you for surviving the entrepreneur landscape. We all know we're just the next check away, right, from something else. So it's one of those things where I've talked on this show before that you have to have a tremendous amount of faith as an entrepreneur because we all know that we're going to have enough provided for us by the end of the year, but we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know where it's coming from next month or the month after that. So one of the things that I see often with people who have what we call serial LLCs or they want to do more than one business is they'll come in and they'll say, Dave, you know, I'm new to business, but I want to start a lawn business, a car wash business, a real estate business. And, you know, they have all these ideas. And I tell them that, you know, when you're new to business, each new revenue generating idea is like having a new baby. And when you start to add these new businesses, that's like having triplets at 17. So, I mean, that makes it very difficult. So, but I try to tell people who want to first come into business and start off with that is to say, hey, get one business, one LLC. You can put all the business models under the same LLC for the time being early. And then as you grow, you can spin them out. So you don't have to have 4 LLCs, just one LLCs with 4 DBAs, and they all run under the same thing. But when they get bigger, one of them gets big enough to, you know, be out on its own LLC. That's when you spin it out. I imagine that Mr. Ray's at that point that everything was sort of run, and now he's like, you know what? Some of y'all need your own LLC now.
Oh, Miss Ray, you're on mute. We can.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
With any television show, you know, we go through these contractual outbursts online. But I was also told, what I learned throughout my years, you can, as us as a brand, as being on television or name, even you guys, the networks can pay us directly to our LLC, and instead of it going to us, so that way it can be a business expense, less taxed, all these little things that, you know, you're just focused on getting on TV and making your moment. There's the back end of it where there's, you know, are they paying my LLC where I'm getting less taxes taken out because, like I say, it's business expenses for hair, clothes, and travel versus just paying it straight to Ray Cunningham and I'm paying this Los Angeles tax on it. So.
Yeah, so we talked about that a lot, Mr. Ray's, that when we go through the process with a lot of college students we've been signing up, we have them fill out a W-9. Say like, hey, you're going to own a commission for selling our water. You have to fill out a W-9. They have no idea what it is. And when they see the page, they're like, okay, what do I put here? And a lot of them have to write their social security number. And that I try to explain to them that there's 2 problems with that. One is, like he said, is when I tell the IRS that I paid you $1,000 or $500 or $100 even, then they're going to identify you through the social security number and you're going to have to pay taxes on it. The second thing is that you're handing your social security over to a bunch of people who are not equipped to really protect it. Like I imagine a lot of identity fraud comes in people stealing W-9 files because you're giving your W-9 with your social security number on it to random businesses that are car washes or whoever, and then they're just putting that in some file that people can come get later. So one of the benefits of forming a business, besides the tax benefits, is that you don't have to give your social security number anymore. You can use the EIN and say, hey, I have an LLC. use this EIN. And so I'm trying to explain to all the players is that as you go forward, you are going to have to fill out W-9s. And then when you get all that money, and the IRS comes knocking like, hey, I heard Positivity paid you $500. You're like, yeah, but I had to go do this and I bought some shoes for a video and this and this. Well, the IRS goes, no, this money went to your personal account. I'm writing that off as a personal expense. And if you have an LLC and the money goes into the LLC and the LLC expenses out what it's supposed to expense out for whatever, and then you have the rest, there's a different burden of proof. Now they're like, oh, the presumption is that was a business expense unless I see something else. So that's the sort of things, small things that happen early on. But most of them are so excited they just sign a W-9, and then I tell them, do you even know what you just signed?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a lot to learn because you don't learn about this till after the fact. They've taken out thousands of dollars, and you realize you could have had an LLC and did things so differently. Like even with our merchandising, with books, clothing, and all that. Like, so you're saying that we can have one LLC and have a bunch of DBAs under. So it can be the books, it can be the clothing, it can be electronic, whatever that means. So it's okay to have a bunch of DBAs under one main LLC.
Yeah, to start off, I mean, I think that you don't want to have a lot of expenses of paying a bunch of LLCs every single year and annual filing and paying an accountant to do LLC returns for each LLC. So what happens is each time you have a different revenue stream. So you have some revenue streams that comes from, say, public speaking, right? And then you'll have another revenue, that's a service. Then you have another revenue stream that comes from products. I sell merchandise, I sell books, etc. Each time you have a different revenue stream, if it starts to increase, you want to split that away from everything else underneath that LLC. So if I start off and I have public speaking and say that's only making me 4,000 to 5,000 a year, but my books and merchandise is doing 100,000, and then separately I'm doing some things in acting that's making me another 100,000. Well, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing in public speaking doesn't put those other two things at risk that are making you more money. So you would put those other two things into its own LLC. So you know what? This is so important that it deserves its own LLC, its own bank account, its own expenses, because the expenses I have with acting are different than the expenses that I have with the books and the merchandise, which is different than the expenses that I have associated with public speaking. So those are the sort of things that the jump rope of when to do all that stuff is what the benefit of a business attorney can be. Like, hey, is it time for me to form a new LLC yet? Is it time, or can I still keep the same LLC? You know, trying to figure that out is not something that I think is easily understood, but you can have an attorney sort of help you deviate and say, okay, maybe it's time to spin this out and put this in something else. Another thing that happens, and you're probably dealing with this, Mr. Ray, is my trademark, right? So I have a brand that I use across all businesses. Where should that go? And so sometimes people create holding companies. And so in that scenario, you'd have a holding company that would have all of your intellectual property, like your trademark, and then you'd have all the LLCs underneath that holding company. So the holding company would license the trademark to each of those brands. Hey, you want to use the trademark for public speaking LLC? Here you go. You want to use our trademark brand for your merchandise LLC? Here you go. You want to use it for your acting? Here you go. But it's held
I'm
in
writing
the
all
holding
this
company.
down. You know, I'm still in grad school. I'm in grad school right now. I'm in grad school mode again. We about to start back. I'm taking notes.
Hey,
So this is
listen.
real stuff. This is the largest part of those of us that do television, radio, anybody that does something in the public, and we're paid for us to be there. This is the major part of the backside of it is the finances, because we're on the road, we're traveling, we're sharing, we're out there, and you want to be able to go to sleep at night knowing your money's in the right place and you're not getting screwed.
Yeah, a lot of times. Right. A lot of times with my entertainment clients, when we first start, it is a sort of money in, money out situation. They're just so into whatever their careers are like, look, the money's in the account, whoever got to pay it, whatever we got to do it. And then before they know it, money's there, gone, money there's gone. But then the IRS is like, well, you made 100,000, so you owe me 20,000. Like, I don't have it. And they're like, well, you better have it. And they're like, well, I spent it on these other things. And they're like, no, we don't believe you.
So that's the issue. That's the issue a lot of people have and coming into reality television, they pay us. So whatever your rate or your salary is, they pay you full out. They don't take any taxes out because we're W-9 employees. So it's
Mhm.
up to you to take out your taxes per check and keep up with that, because they will come back and get you. And there's some folks right now dealing with that. I ain't putting everybody's business out there, but I mean, it
Look,
happens. I mean, luckily I have some OGs around who were telling me like, hey, they ain't gonna take out this. Make sure you put this
Right.
aside every check, every episode, document it, make a photocopy of the pay stub so you have it. Because it's up to you to basically figure out your finances at that point. They're paying you, but they're not taking any taxes out, so they're not accountable for anything. It's all on you.
well, not only are they not taking your taxes out, they're telling the IRS at the end of the year how much they're paying you. So
Yeah.
that 1099 that you get, they told some
Oh,
people
they
get
gonna
the
tell.
1099. Yeah, they're gonna tell the IRS I paid them 50,000, and then the IRS is sitting there collecting all the 1099s and like, all right, I got a bunch of 1099s from 6 or 7 different studios and businesses saying that you made 300,000 and you didn't file any taxes, or your taxes said you only made 20. And they go, that's when you get into audit land. And I think that it's hard because this everything that happens with the IRS, like most of the federal crimes, they let you do it first and then they catch you on the
Right.
back end.
Yeah.
So when you rob a store and the police outside, they catch you like, oh, you got me. The hard
Right.
part about taxes is that they're like, you make this in May, you're like, all right, I got a 10,000, I'm about to spend it, IRS. They're like, I don't care. And then you're like, well, I get it back in October. I get it back in October. I'm about to spend it again, IRS. They're like, they don't care. Then your taxes are done at the end of the year. Your accountant's like, okay, this is what
Right,
you owe. You're like, what? Well, then like the IRS like, now I care. And so
right.
they'll let you paint yourself into a corner. They don't help you. They presume like you hired an attorney, you hired accountants that's going to tell you how to put your money aside. And
Mhm.
if you don't, you get in big time trouble. And it's hard because no one's going to knock on your door at tax time either. Some people just avoid it altogether and just like, well, I just
Right.
didn't file any taxes, and they think like that can't be that bad. I just didn't file anything, and then I got all these 1099s, but I just throw them away with my rest of my mail. I don't pay attention to it, and that's not good. It's going to catch up with you. And here's the crazy thing: these same people will flaunt their cash on Instagram and on
Right.
social media. I'm
I
like,
was just about to ask you.
what? You
Yeah.
better, if you out there putting your cash out, you better be filing taxes because they
Right.
look at that stuff. And I've seen a couple reality stars get caught because they paying cash on the show. When I watched one show with my wife, I'm not gonna say the show. And they shot it. It pulls out a big wad of cash. It was like, yeah, me and my husband pay everything in cash. And I go, somebody's husband somewhere is going,
Well,
don't
they must
do
think I'm poor because I eat at 7-Eleven every day. You know,
that.
gotta make that.
That's the key. Look poor as hell on TV. Like, I don't have any money.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you because I had a debate with a friend, and I don't know too much. I'm just starting to get into like all this financial stuff because, I'm looking at investing and just buying in the future. A lot of people I keep hearing about using these CPN numbers. Now, when you Google CPN, like my mama did, I read what it read, and CPN don't seem too legal, but it also doesn't say that it's illegal either.
Well, I'm going to do exactly what you said and look at the CPN number.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
Yeah.
All right, okay. It's a
Mm.
credit privacy number. So okay, I think one of the things that you can do is when you go to as you're if you're a sole proprietor and you go to do a job and they say, okay, well, we need to be able to get your tax ID number. You don't have to actually give them your social security number. You can actually decide to give them another number that is given by the IRS, and it's basically for a sole proprietor a pass-through taxing that you can give them your social security number, and they give you another number to use instead of your social security number. So you didn't form an LLC. It's not a business entity. You just get another number to use. Now, that's for tax reporting purposes. But in order to get that number, you got to use your social security number. So
Right.
it also
Right.
kind of comes back full circle too.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I was wondering about that because the folks having PPP loans and the CPN numbers and all this other stuff, and I just wonder how they getting around and moving like this because some folks are living very comfortable, and I know they don't make that much money, much less got the credit pay stubs to show for 3 months in advance of that much money. So,
Mhm.
I was just wondering. I'm
Well,
not
I'll
judging
say
the
this.
scammers. I'm not judging y'all. I'm just asking questions.
I'll say this about the PPP and EIDL loan. The government's reach is long, and so is their memory.
Hmm.
Everybody who went in and got PPP loans or EIDL loans using information that was not accurate are probably not going to get caught this year. They probably didn't get caught last year.
Oh, they caught enough of them.
Yeah, the minute they try to catch people on the front end before they spent it, but the minute any of those loans becomes due and in the default, they'll get kicked into what's called an audit. So if you took the money and you flipped some houses and you were able to pay it back, even though you didn't get it the right way, you probably gonna get away with it as long as you can pay it back. So you got 50, 100,000 that you probably weren't eligible for, but somebody you knew helped you fill it out the right way. Well, if you get it and actually use it for a business and flip it and get it back, it might be a no harm, no foul. And I'm not advocating for people to put fraudulent information. I'm just saying one of the ways you can sort of go through the process of being, maybe looked at differently is to say, look, I put it back. But most of those people who did it think it's free money. And they start to say, well, I'm not going to pay it back. I'm not worried about paying it back. Well, guess what? When those notes come due and you're not paying or you default, they pull everything. They pull the
All right, I
file.
know
They
y'all
pull
listen. Y'all better
everything.
listen to what this man said.
It's going to come back on you.
Twitter.
They're going to come back on you. They're going to pull everything. So it's not going to happen this year because they've delayed the payment dates and they've delayed all these other things and people are living large. But the minute they go, okay, these loans are due, and you're like, well, I don't have it. And they're like, well, you said here you made 500,000 a year. You had 12 employees, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, did you have
I
that?
knew something was up. Everybody was going to Tulum, Mexico at the same time. I said, wait a minute.
I
Wait a minute. Wait, they going to Dubai. I said,
don't know what this.
wait. Did I miss the travel text? Because I didn't know that about Tulum until the pandemic. We going to have a glitch? I was like, okay.
And I want to ask you too, Dave. That's you hit on the social media aspect, but I want to ask you from your experience because I'm pretty sure you've seen all kind of different scenarios. But have you ever seen a situation where, when we talk about social media, right? Say someone they have a business, right, and say they've been in business for a few years and made a lot of money, but when we talk about taxes, they haven't been necessarily handling their business on the tax end, but like you say, with social media, you can scroll and see they've done, all kind of stuff going on or whatever. Have you seen a situation where the IRS has maybe like went through a backlog of like their social media pages and just things in general and kind of?
Let me tell you what's so scary about the IRS is that there is no IRS person. There isn't. There isn't an IRS person walking around. You never seen one in the airport that said IRS on the shirt. You mean people who work at McDonald's? They tell you, right? People who you think of the IRS as some sort of entity that's out there. Well, somebody on this phone can be an IRS agent.
Yeah.
like they're regular people. They watch TV just like you. They walk into restaurants just like you. And all they got to do is nowadays is get their phone out. They can probably like, oh, this person's paying cash. Let me look this up. They'll be audited tomorrow. Like hit the button. So the scary thing about it is that they could literally be everywhere. And you don't know who works for the IRS. You don't know if the store clerk that you're working for knows the
Black
IRS.
works for the IRS. They make everything go viral. It looks cute.
They will. And those people and black people work for the IRS. And if black people see something that they're like, that doesn't make sense from an IRS perspective, they nosy like everybody else. Oh, let's see that person, what they've been filing. And it's crazy. They're everywhere.
I knew black folks work for the IRS. I knew black. I know they had some pieces up there.
They watch the same shows you watch. They don't say, "Oh, I work for the IRS. I'm not watching that show." They don't say that.
You never see me in my house. You always see me at a bar.
That's it.
This is interesting. Like you said, it is kind of I don't want to say scary, but I think a lot of people, they think like the IRS is like they have a certain stereotype. Like you said, the IRS, they can be anybody.
They think they're like the Sentinels from like Matrix or something, that they come around with dark glasses and stuff like that. I tell you what they also don't do. They don't call you before they show up.
They don't.
So if you waiting for them to call you and be like, well, as soon as they call me, I'm going to stretch some things. I'm going to do this. No, they knock on your door.
They
They'll be
call. Do
like,
they call your phone? Because I know I've gotten somebody called my phone one time.
No, they don't call you either.
every single person who's had some IRS troubles was like, they came and met me at my door. And I was like, how'd you get my address? They came to my job. They don't, that's the first time they flip about I'm from the IRS. Your heart start beating. And you think about, where's my receipts? Where's everything else? And like, we need you to give us the box of all your stuff. And you're like, you had no time to prepare. And that's why you see all those tax commercials, like you got tax problems. Forget putting that personal injury number in your phone. You got to put that tax IRS number in your
Okay.
phone.
That's it.
I don't
So
miss the year. I file every year. I don't. Oh,
it's
okay.
not that scary if you do things right. Like, so it's just like you said, learning. It's just so much freedom comes from being a 1099 contractor. When people say, like, for example, some of your listeners might not understand what we're talking about because they're employees. But when you work with somebody and you're an employee and they give you a check, that's a W-2, they're taking your taxes out. So you don't worry about it. And you probably get a
Right.
tax return every year. So if you're making $100, you don't get a $100 check. You get a $91 check or $89 check, right? Because they took out taxes. But when you're an entrepreneur, 1099, they give you $100. And it's hard to get that $100 and put $11, $12 aside. When you're like, well, if I put that aside and then you have it sitting in an account and your account gets low, when the other $89 gets low, and you're looking at the other tax account that has $200 in it now because you've been paid a couple times, it's hard not to use that. So
Right.
some people have to send it off to the IRS and say, I'm just going to send it off every quarter to make sure I don't do it. And some people will actually pay themselves. So people who are really not disciplined, when they form their company, they get $100. They're like, look, nope, I'm paying myself $89 and I'm putting the rest away. And
Right.
I'm hiring myself as a W-2.
Yeah, that's what they said to tell us to do. They
Right.
pay yourself, and then
Yes.
let the network pay you, pay your LLC, and then
They-
you, the LLC, pay yourself. Right, Cunningham.
Yes.
Mm.
That's how that goes.
And that's going to be better long term too if you're trying to finance houses or car. As an entrepreneur, we find it very difficult to finance things because we don't have a W-2. So they'll say, give me your tax return, and your tax return is only filed once a year. A W-2 you get every 2 weeks. And so if you had a bad year last year, but you in August of the next year, but you haven't filed your taxes yet, they don't know that. Like, they just know, like, hey, I'm looking at last year's taxes. So one of the ways that people do is they say, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to pay myself a salary. And some
Yeah.
of them will pay themselves a salary and put their salary into a tax account for the other money that they make somewhere else. But there's ways to sort of pay yourself if you don't feel like you have the discipline to hold the
Right.
taxes, as well as say, then you go to do a car, they don't have to check your company. They just see your W-2. I have a W-2 right here. Like, I
I
pay,
did it.
right. That helps a lot so that
It
you don't have
does.
to go through all that. And then they will ask for taxes and stuff.
And
Right.
Nikita, I wanted to ask you because you're a
Yeah.
financial life coach. So, what are some things that you know, under that? What are some things that you deal with as far as the clients that you work with?
Far as that, I do the budgeting very, very well. Um, Being disciplined and how to budget your money, so that you can be able to pay yourself, put money in savings, to be able to be disciplined. Because I at one point wasn't disciplined, that I had to learn myself, because I was doing a lot of the checking to savings, and like you were saying, for a long time, I would not pay myself. I was using my business, the revenue from the business as my money. And I just recently found out that that's not the way that works. So I had to start doing things the correct way and do a ACH deposit payment from my business account to my personal account every week.
That's right.
So it's all about the discipline. Anything you do with finance is all about the discipline, of how you divide your money and where you put it at.
Mm. You know, I think it's so good to have discussions like this because as entrepreneurs, like you were saying, David, we get so caught up in just going, making the money, you know, taking the pictures and the lifestyle of it, but not
Right,
actually getting the back end of the business together, which, you know,
right,
you say can come
Mm-hmm.
back and haunt you later on if it's not done right. So,
right.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, I think that the hard part too is that this is not something that they tell you when you apply to Secretary of State for your LLC. right? This is
Right.
not something that the IRS tells you. It's something that we got to know from each other. And if you don't have a community of entrepreneurs that are talking about this at the dinner table, you can
Right.
get easily lost and not even be your fault. You just didn't know. Like, like you said, Keita said, is that I just didn't know. I just was taught
Right.
that that's the way we do it. And so I talk to you all the time about this, Adrena, that one of the worst words in the black community is stay out of my business. And I think
Right.
that word, I know what it means and I know what they're saying, but from a business attorney perspective, I'm like, no, tell everybody about your business. Tell everybody about your business, and so that you can start to share information. Because then you're like, I got a business, and you're like, well, you're not supposed to pay yourself. Like what? And then so it becomes that
Right.
sort of thing where business owners among ourselves start to share, because this is all unwritten rules. And unless you have a corporate attorney or
Yep.
CPA in your family, we don't actually get this information. It's not on YouTube because each case is different. Every single business has a customizable case. So people will spend hours trying to figure out what an S corp is or what a C corp is or LLC. And I tell them it takes me like 30 seconds to tell you what tax category you should be in. So having professionals around is really important. And that's why I do my part. Being on shows like this, I host a lot of things, and go to a lot of classrooms and talk to a lot of entrepreneurs to spread the word and to get them to tell other people that if there's some nuggets, like those notes, Mr. Ray, you need to go ahead and copy them and post them on the internet so everybody can see, because that's how we learn, is by
Right.
having other people around that can tell us. And for generations, we didn't. We got a lot of first generation lawyers, a lot of first generation
Yep.
accountants. Now we're at a high moment, right? Like, oh, this is how these things have been happening.
Right.
Mm. This is good. This is some good stuff too. And like I said, I think it's so important, and never, like you say, David, it's not stay out of my business. Like tell people your business, because when it comes to the IRS and things like that, you can't. I'm assuming you can't tell them that you didn't know, so you're not going to pay them their taxes because, well, I didn't know that I'm supposed to pay them. So yeah,
A lot of people in jail under the I didn't know. A
yeah.
lot of people.
Yeah.
America was not written. The instructions for America was not written with the "you don't know this" clause exception.
Mm.
Right? You get away with it in high school, maybe like, oh, why did you in class? I didn't know. But a lot of people rely on the I'll keep my head in the sand, and if somebody tells me, then I'll know and have to pay my taxes. But if I don't watch this show and I cut it off right now, I ain't know. And
Right.
unfortunately, being the person who read the instructions to America, you are presumed to have known. And
No.
if you are participating in our banking system, if you are participating in getting the LLC, if you are participating to filling out PPP and EIDL loans, you are
You.
presumed to have known.
Yeah.
And people go, I ain't read that though. They presume you read everything.
Right. You're supposed to read it.
You're taking a risk. You start signing stuff
Right.
without reading it. And that's I can't tell
Exactly.
you many people came back. It's like, I signed this. Is this enforceable? I said, yes. You haven't even read it. I said, did you sign it? Yeah, but it's enforceable.
Right.
I don't need to read it.
Ooh, I feel like that need to be a whole nother episode, David, about contracts and
Yeah.
but I want to get into Mr. Ray. You have this new book out, right? And I want to just have you, because we can kind of relate this too when it comes to being a new author, right? So first, tell us about the book that you just wrote.
The book is about my 15-year time here, 15-year journey. My 15 minutes started 15 years ago. Talked about my coming out on national television, graduating college, being on TV, working at a network. I've worked in front of the camera, on camera, in the office. I've done every job there is to do, odd job in between gigs, and just talk about some of the lessons that I learned here in LA and Atlanta and DC, and just all the different odd jobs I've had and the people I've met and the lessons I've learned, and some personal things from my childhood, and talk about my hair journey with losing my hair with alopecia and it growing back. I just think I got it done right now for this, but no, just being my authentic self and being very transparent and owning everything that's happened, good and bad.
Mhm. And so, for those who don't know, the new book is called "Mess with the Message," right?
Yes,
Yes.
it's been number one on Amazon for a whole month.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
Mhm.
Yes, shout out to Ray. For those, I first got introduced to you on College Hill on BET,
Ooh.
and so yeah, I'm hoping they bring that show back. The one HBCU thing we can get on BT. Who knows? But
There's conversations happening about something. So of course I will let you all. I'll be the first one to know. Let you guys know what's going on with that. But I'm actually working on a HBCU themed board game. We talked about it before, Yard U. So that's hopefully coming this fall winter. And that'll be out. So if the pandemic does hit because of this new Delta variant, we can still enjoy our Black college culture at home safely.
yeah, we're not gonna speak
No,
that.
no, I cannot go back inside, Ray. I
Yeah,
can't
we're
do it.
not.
Well,
I
I don't
can't
want to be
do it.
outside breathing in that nasty stuff neither. Then I fall out and die either. So get your shots, people. Kamala said it. Kamala got it. I got it. Okay. She got a shot. I got a shot. I believe in Kamala.
Yeah. Please don't get sick. Nobody get sick.
Well, I keep a mask. You see, look, I got one right here just in case too many of y'all in here.
I do believe that diseases can transmit through electronic transmission. And people are like, why do you say that? I said, if you can hear my voice, then why can't your body hear the signals that a virus is talking? If you
That
can interpret the words and the vibrations of what I'm saying, and even if you have headphones on, my headphones vibrate from the base of your voice in turns. So if that can be transmitted, tell me why the code of you coughing. So when people are sick on the Zooms and they're on the phone, I hang up. I said, "You're sick. I'm gonna catch it." I'm like, what are you talking about? I was
oh
like,
wow.
I don't trust it. I just call you back when you're not sick. I don't trust
I've never heard that before, but
I have never. You said
yeah.
like, I wish you would use that excuse. I'm sick. I can't answer the phone.
it.
I wish.
Now.
I done got
So
sick.
you
Oh, that's a good work excuse. I got sick. I can't come to work today because I called my girlfriend and she got the phone. She's sick and I got to do the phone. So
That's right.
I don't want to
Right. That's right.
Oh, this is interesting. So, and as we talked about, we just talked about LLCs and taxes, and so I'm going to relate this back to Ray. And okay, there's a little
It was
feedback.
something going on in here.
Okay,
I
okay,
thought it was me.
I think it's cool now. It's good. But yeah, so Ray, you had the book out and then the game, so it's two different. And so, kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation, Dave, when we were talking about the LLCs, right, and then having, yes, the game and the book. So for someone else who's watching this, and they have maybe a similar situation going on, so all of that will kind of be under the same LLC, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just starting off, to keep things simple, you can have it under the same LLC, and then you can do DBA. Now, what is a DBA? I know some people don't really know what. So, in a company, you can have divisions, meaning that these are little sections of your company that's still under your company, but they operate a little differently. Like you might have a division for marketing, a division for books, a division for public speaking, and these are all under the same LLCs, but you want to call them a name change. So there's two names, or not a name change. You have to identify them with the name. So when you form your company, that's like when you have a baby. You call your baby whatever you want, Michael Jackson. But just because your baby's called Michael Jackson doesn't mean that they can go on stage and charge money for tickets saying Michael Jackson's on stage. And like, oh, that's actually true because Michael Jackson is actually the trade name that you're using. So you can say Michael Jackson LLC, but you're going to have to do something else if you want to actually use that LLC to perform on stage. That's called the DBA, or your trade name. And so the way you protect your trade name is at a few levels. None of the protection comes from the state that gives you the LLC. So if you got a name that the state gave you an LLC for, and you're like, I've got my name, that's not worth anything. It's worth zero. The state doesn't do any checks on your name to make sure that it's in conflict or with somebody else. So the first level and the lowest level of a DBA protection is usually at your city or county level. And that's where you can pay sometimes, 50, depends. Each county is different, but you can pay money, and then they'll give you a DBA certificate that you can use to your bank and say, hey, even though my name is Michael Jackson, or my business name is Michael Jackson, they're going to give me a check under the name Dave Walker. And when you accept the check under Dave Walker, then you can use this DBA to confirm that this is still part of my same LLC. Same thing that happens at the next level is at the federal government level, which means nationwide protection of your trade name, and that's done under trademark law. So, and the trademark law is at the USPTO office, and at the USPTO office actually judges whether your trade name is in conflict with every single other trade name across the United States. So, the highest level of protection of your trade name will always be at the highest level at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
I think it's a little bit. Let me see. A little bit of feedback. Okay. Trying to make sure that's okay. It might be good now. Okay. Okay. Can everyone hear? Okay. Okay. My end. But okay, yeah, no, that's a great information, David. Put down because I think a lot of people don't know what it means to have the DBA and the LO. You know the difference between the clubs. A great explanation of that. And something I want to get into too is we talk about scaling business and things like that. Because of course, there's a lot that come with that, right? So I want to get into the mental health aspect when it comes to being entrepreneurs and really even trying to scale these businesses, really just keeping your mental health in check. So what are some things that you all do to make sure, you know, Dave, I got back from a vacation. So I know that, you know, that's a self-care thing. But what are some other things that you all do to really keep your mental health in check while juggling this entrepreneur life?
Well, I go. So some of the things I do, I start my morning off with listening to some very positivity or encouraging music, whether it's jazz, gospel, just anything that speaks to me in general as I'm getting dressed. Um, I also do a lot of self care, get my nails did, putting makeup on, making sure I'm going out the house, looking presentable. Um, Shopping is one big one for me. Shopping and getting food. That keeps me at a level head. Going to get food and just kind of like brainstorming, giving me that peace atmosphere. The atmosphere is very big for me. I love water, so sometimes I go and sit by some waterfalls or some type of water just to kind of clear my head, to make sure that I don't get overwhelmed. Because at the same time, I'm running business and then also having 4 kids at the house.
And I saw David with his water. Well, I don't think you mentioned it, David, the positivity water. We talked about it in the beginning, but yeah.
No, I thought Makita was looking to get one of those athlete NIL licenses. She's like, I like positivity and I like the water.
Yeah, I need some of that water. I need some of that.
No, we got you. We got you.
Okay. Okay. I see, Mr. I'm just reading. Okay. Bye, Mr. Rick. I see he had to run off. But yeah, no. And then David, what about you? Because I know you.
Yeah, so I talk about this a lot. I actually have a philosophy called inside out. So what does that mean? So I have the bottled water business. I have the law business. I have an NFL agent. I'm doing a fundraise through WeFunder. I have 4 beautiful daughters from all ages between 12 and 18. My wife is an entrepreneur. She's a sex therapist and has her own growing practice. And when you have all those things happening at any given day, I'll have a task list of 11 things. From this client needs a copy of their operating agreement. This other client is, looking to have you represent their athlete, and another one wants to do an NIL deal, and then somebody else wants to work for you at the law firm. And somebody at home needs some bread and bring home some bread. Another person needs to be picked up from roller skating, and your wife needs you to, take out the trash. So all these things are happening at once, and sometimes as entrepreneurs we can lose our focus. And the natural thing is to run to the money. It feels better just to run to the wherever the person's about to pay, run there, and I'll forget everything else. But that's not the way it's going to work. You have to have a philosophy called inside out. So when everything gets hectic like that, and I have all these sticky notes and all these things I have to do, the first thing I do is check myself and my breathing and my faith. I'm like, okay, are you alive? Okay, I am alive. And I work from the inside out. Am I hungry? Do I need a nap? There's something hurting on my body. Do I need to see a dentist, a doctor, or something? And then I go to the outside. Okay, what does my wife need? She needs me to take out the trash. I'm going to take out the trash right now. So then what does my kids need? They need some bread. I'm going to go get some bread right now. And then you work to your immediate family, your friends, and then your employees. Okay, my employee, what do you need? Well, they're late to work, car. Okay, you need any help getting to work, right? And then you move to your customers. Okay, customers, what do you need? And then potential customers in the rest of the world. And the reason I do it that way is because if you go out and get a client and run right to the client and get the money, and you come home and try to tell your wife when you didn't take out the trash, she ain't gonna care. You try to tell your kids when they needed some bread and you didn't bring it home, they're not gonna care. But if you lose a client and you took out the trash and you brought home the bread, your family's gonna love you and you're going to take care of yourself. And if you ignore going to the doctor because you're trying to go see a client, your appendix is going to tell you later. So I try to tell people at the end of the day, just work from the inside of your soul out. Sometimes that's just meditating. Sometimes that's just finding a place, like Kita said, that puts you into a happy place because you have to take care of yourself
Right.
in first and then work out. And that's the philosophy I use.
Mm. I think that's important. You said those naps, and I tell people I take frequent naps, and some people they like take naps in the middle of
Middle
the
of the day, under the covers, everything. I'm when I take naps, I don't do this no not off on the couch. I'm under the covers, sleep in the bed, pillow naps. Middle
yeah.
of the day, Tuesday, 1 to 2. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, because I think sometimes you have to just recharge. And I remember when I was, in school, when they used to make you take naps in grade school, I was like, I was never sleepy, so I never went to sleep. But now I'm like, man, I love those naps, so they come in handy. So
Well,
yeah.
that's the benefit of being an entrepreneur too, is that you have time management on your side. Like I don't like to do shopping on the weekends, because the whole joke is the employees are out.
Right.
But during the week, all the best employees are working because they're working. And so you're walking in at Tuesday, 12 o'clock. There's 8 people helping you at Home Depot. Go in there on Saturday at 12. There's nobody there. And they 8 people looking for a Home Depot worker. And
Mhm.
so one of the benefits of entrepreneurship is you get to do that. I watch movies on Wednesdays at afternoon with an empty theater, fresh butter popcorn, and
Right.
everything else, because you get the best of the world. And
Yeah.
so you have to do that too, and take advantage of the things that we have and because we're entrepreneurs and flexible with our time, going to a kid's play in the middle of the afternoon, you have to, if you work yourself too hard and you don't take those privileges, it does feel like, what am I doing? And you're on a treadmill sometimes.
Mhm.
Right. Makes
That's
sense.
good. That's good. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a great discussion. Learned a lot of new things. I mean, we go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. This has been great, though. A lot of good things we touched on: LLCs, the DBAs, and definitely those taxes. I feel like that may need to be his whole own episode, David. The taxes.
No one likes talking about it, but it's not a fight you want. So just to give you a lot of final point on taxes, there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of ways of collecting money, right? So if you owe a bank, they can sometimes take your car or house, and that's a process, right? Or if somebody you gave a promissory note to somebody and they have to collect it, they have to hire an attorney, that's a process, right? And so everybody's, a collection agency call you on the phone. That's a process, and you know it. You can hang up on them, and they all have to jump through processes. The IRS
Mhm.
does not. They can shut your
Right.
account off tonight. You understand me? They can lock your money up tonight. And that's pretty scary when they have that sort of power. So I tell people, don't mess with the IRS. They just have too much power. They know where you are. And that's scary power, but it's true. So when people like, man, IRS locked my bank account, you open up your bank account, it says negative 98,000, whatever, they'll do it. I've seen it overnight. So just
Wow.
pay your taxes, try to stay up on things, get in a good, not, get an accountant. So some
Yeah.
people aren't making enough money to be taxed, and they need to talk to an accountant. They can find that out. Some people aren't in trouble, but they're worried about they're in trouble. Finds out that you've been worrying about nothing. You might not
Right.
be in trouble. So get an accountant if you're not sure.
Mm. Is there like a threshold that people, or like a number that people should, think, or it's just kind of like it just really just depends on?
It does depend. I would say this though. I haven't seen any IRS audits where they don't get They walk away like, oh, sorry about that. I'm getting nothing. I mean,
Right.
they usually find a way to get
Get
something. I mean,
something.
do
Mm-hmm.
they charge you the whole time? I think it depends on the auditor and then what they find, etc. But who knows? I think that you know, there's tax people out there that can help you, tax attorneys that make a lot of money, like
Right.
$700 an hour money, to sort of help you figure out, you know, what's the best way to explain your situation to the IRS. But that costs money. If you ain't got enough money to pay the IRS, how you gonna have enough to pay your taxes? So
Right.
that's I mean, to pay your tax attorney. So those are some of the things that do come up, but they only come up because people aren't just paying attention or hiring the right people or reinvesting in themselves. You talk about scaling your business, you have to be able to reinvest in your business. And if you're watching this and like, man, I'm not sure about taxes, that dude scared me. Get an accountant, pay them an hour, and be like, do I have
Right.
a problem? And they can say, oh, you don't have a problem, or you do have a problem, or it's a fixable problem, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one final disclaimer: I am not saying that diseases are transmitted through electronic transmission. I'm saying that I personally feel like they can
Right.
happen, and I personally don't like to be on the phone or on Zooms with sick people. That's just me, though.
That's interesting. I love it. All right. What about you, Makita? What are some things that you have going on within your business, and even what are some things that you want us to know about it?
So what I have going on, because I've had a lot of things going on where I was, how you talk about you got all these different ideas flying around. And so I'm that person that had a whole lot of ideas and still do, to where I had to just kind of cut down. And so now I have my hair business and I kind of like put everything else, like he was saying, up under that business. So I just operate everything from that one business entity, because I was in the well now I'm kind of like with the finances. I don't have an LLC for my coaching, because I was gonna try to create a whole other business with that, but I've been kind of waiting because I have my incorporation with my hair business and with my hair products. So I did not want, I guess I was kind of in between that. Like people was saying like I should, get another LLC just for a umbrella, as who I am, like a Makita Phillips Enterprise. But with that, I'm still kind of like in between. I'm not really sure because I'm kind of still trying to maintain just that one business.
Yeah, I think like if anybody's been a parent, having one kid is difficult. So when people are
Right,
like, "You need to have a second one," you're like, "I'm still working with this first kid, trying to
right,
get it up."
right,
And Key, the things you're feeling are very, very common. You should not feel like you're doing something wrong. And it's just about taking in advice and talking to as many people as you can till you feel comfortable moving to that second spot. It's no answer to it. Can you do it the way you do? Can, yeah. One of the things that becomes beneficial is if you think about somebody acquiring your business. So if you come to the point where somebody wants to buy your hair business and it includes your products, then you got to try to peel that out, right? Like, okay,
right,
you can have hair, but you can't have products. Or they want to buy your products, they got to peel out the products business. So at some point, if you think about like your products start to grow and you say, I might want to sell this business or bring in other investors, right now they'd have to invest in both, right? Because you got to say, well, I want to bring this person to help with my products, but I want them to help with my hair. Well,
right.
you got to
No,
split
that
it
makes
out
sense.
now. So that's usually the points in which people do split it out is when you get an investor or somebody's selling it. You're like, yeah, I need to split it out. But if it's just you and you're not sure, just take information in.
Right, right. Well, that's pretty good because even with my hair products, I was looking at that like I don't know why I feel like this is just like real separate, although I use it within my salon. Um, you know, but the bigger vision that I want with my hair products is to really have a manufacturer company to
Hmm.
where that I have other people, working to make the products where the way I make them myself now, and also have people that also sell them as well, or even buy wholesale to put in their stores or salons.
They, all of this has to be done in parallel. So people will say, well, when should I be thinking about an LLC now? When should I be thinking about
Right.
another company now? So I would just say this: don't let your structure stop your passion for your business. we can figure out your structure later, but don't get into paralysis by analysis. Like I would grow my product line, but I don't have another LLC for it. Don't do that. Just continue to do it. Continue to look for a manufacturer. Continue to do it. We can always do it later and spin it out later
Right.
and say, okay, but at some point you do want to have that separate from the hair business because you don't want somebody suing you under the hair business and taking your hair products business. So that's the thing is like while they're under the same umbrella,
Got you.
we call
That
it
makes
cross collateralized. But you can still grow your business. You don't have to feel like, man, I can't find a manufacturer because it's all under my current LLC. No, you can fix it at that time. But you should still do that.
right.
And I think that's the growth of the hair products business is when you get to a point, you're gonna get to a point and you're gonna say hair products. It's gonna be a lopsided
Right.
pen. And when that happens, you will be like, I'm calling Dave.
Right.
I sold way too much product
Right.
today versus the hair. That's exactly right. So
Right.
you'll
Absolutely.
know when it's time.
Okay. That's definitely helpful.
That's good. I mean, where can we get your products? You get website? Where
Yeah.
So I have a website. It's Celebrity Styles by Makita. That's my website. You can order off the website, and then I also have it in one store in Moultrie, Georgia. It's called Pavement Elegance. And I also have it there. So those are two locations, and also you can get it at my location in Cobb County. It's 2955 Carl Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, you got some products to show us on screen so we can see.
You know what? You know what? I don't, but I do have. Hold on one second. I do have like one bottle.
Okay. I probably put her on the spot. I know.
This is why you gotta have black business owners because this is how we roll. Like, hold up.
Yeah.
So the bottle is by empty, but this is my personal bottle, and this is what it looks like.
Okay.
And so this is my original hair growth oil that I first came out with 2 years ago. This is just for people that wear different braids that want their hair to grow. This right here has grown a lot of people's hair. It's all natural oils. It doesn't have no preservatives or anything in it. It's all natural oils mixed in it. It's not diluted by anything. I also have alopecia oil as well. And it has a little bit extra strength things going on to help people, that have thinning hair or bald. So, but this is like the number one product right here. I also have shampoo and conditioner as well. And then I also have a diverse dandruff spray as well. And it has vitamin C. So that's good for keeping your immunity up as well.
Well, that's good. I have clients that are in the beauty products industry and they start off just like you, right? Next thing that you're going to hit is that manufacturing, right? Is that you're buying the bottles and you have to fill them, etc. The next thing is to try to find a private label or white label that'll be able to make your products for you and label it for you with your ingredients and all other stuff. And then at that same time, you're going to start to think about your trademark because your logo that's going to go on that bottle. And then after they start making it for you, you're going to get sick of paying them. Like, I'm about to buy my own equipment. Then you're like, I'm gonna buy my own equipment and make my own products. And then, so that's the steps, right? Is you first find somebody else to make it for you. Then you that's where we are in Positivity. So we have a bottler that makes our Positivity and they have 11 plants across the United States and it's great. But I hit a ceiling where I'm like, I got to build my own plant now. So it's the next, those are the levels up. So then I'll build my own plant. That way I can make my own products. And that way, and that's really where we have to get to as a community is to have ownership, not just in like, hey, can you make this for me and then put this on there? It's like, no, I want to make everything from A to Z myself.
Absolutely. And that's definitely where I'm headed to with my products because I know this is with hair, this is like the number one thing because when I turn 40 and I'm got like 3-4 years ago, I'm not going to be standing behind no chair. I want to be educating people and doing my life coaching.
Good. I love it.
Yes. All right. That's good. So we got what's the website? One more time. Celebrity Style.
By Makita.
Okay. Celebrity Style.
Right. And if you put Celebrity Styles by Makita in Google, you will pull up everything that's associated with me. social down from every social media account and websites.
Okay, celebrity styles and kid. I'll make sure we add it to the caption at the bottom. Okay. Well, this has been good. It's been a great conversation. And any final words before anybody else? Any final things before? Oh, David, what's coming up with the Positivity brand?
Oh yeah, so we actually are in the process now of signing. We talked about this before, some college athletes, so that's good. We're still going through our fundraise. Where we're raising capital and we're bringing in investors to help us grow our brands and build a plant. That's invest.starwalkerindustries.com. That's the parent company that owns Positivity and our other brands. And then lastly, we have a new Positivity Defining Moment Challenge coming out, led by Rock T of the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. He's going to launch a series of videos asking people to post their most positive defining moments in life under the brand of Positivity. Think positive, drink positivity. So that should be coming out soon. It's just a lot of, listen, we're having fun over here. City Trends, we're in 500 City Trend stores by the end of July.
Oh wow.
We're in New York distribution. We're building up distribution channels in Florida and Texas. And we continue to grow the brand and have a good time with it. And the athletes have been a great asset to the company. It's been fun teaching them about entrepreneurship at the same time, having them hydrated and enjoying the water. And, our staff has just been amazing while I was away on vacation. They executed extremely well. It made me a little bit jealous that they didn't need me, but it's okay. That's when you know you hired the right people. If they didn't need you,
Right.
they were happy to see me back there. They're like, here's you come home from your babysitters, and the babysitter's like, here's your baby. That's how they all were when I got back. Like, here's your captain's chair, Dave. Go back and take on control. But it was fun. It's been a blast, and I'm enjoying this entrepreneurship ride. I love what I do. I love helping people, and I love these podcasts and coming on with you and sharing these stories and listening. And I've learned a lot about the entertainment business and also about the hair business. I mean, who knew about vitamin E helping out with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no,
Vitamin,
vitamin C,
vitamin
vitamin E is
C.
for dandruff. What was for the dandruff?
The vitamin C.
Vitamin C for dandruff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. Cause you with your head, everything get into your pores. When you open your pores up, it gets in your bloodstream. A lot
Hmm.
of people don't realize, a lot of times the reason why we have thin hair because we're not getting enough vitamins inside our body and it's drying out our hair. And it's like everybody they want to they got away from the oils and stuff, but it's like God was telling me, hey, no, you got to water your hair like it's a plant. Cause I tell people you don't have nappy hair, you got dry hair.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We'll
Good.
say that. We'll say that to my daughters. You don't have nappy hair. You have dry hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whatever, Daddy, pay for me to get this dry hair fixed. That's funny.
Good.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. We'll go ahead and wrap this up because I could probably talk for another hour. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But yeah, so we'll be back next Thursday. Yeah, we use every Thursday. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in and we'll see y'all next time.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me. Thanks to meet you,
Okay.
Makita.
Well, nice to meet you as well.
All right, bye bye.
All right, bye bye.